Upgrade complete.
Yep. We hear you. Yo.
Upgrade complete.
You gonna give me orders? Big job, huh?
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
In the rear with the gear. Yes, sir.
Not enough minerals.
Move it.
Not enough minerals.
We hear you. Well, butter my biscuit. Will do. Well, butter my biscuit.
Not enough minerals. Upgrade complete.
Yep. In the rear with the gear.
Not enough energy.
Good job, huh?
Upgrade complete.
Good job, huh?
Upgrade complete. Not enough minerals. Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete. Not enough minerals. Upgrade complete.
Good job, huh?
Upgrade complete.
Yeah. We hear you.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Yo.
Are you your body? Well, kind of, right? But is there a line where this stops being true?
Complete.
How much of yourself can you remove before you stop being you? And does the question even make sense?
Complete.
Your physical existence is cells, trillions of them, at least 10 times more than there are stars in the Milky Way. A cell is a living being, a machine made of up to 50,000 different proteins. It has no consciousness, no will, no purpose, it just is. But it is still an individual. Together, your cells form huge structures for jobs like preparing food, gathering resources, transporting stuff around, scanning the environment, and so on. If you extract cells from your body and put them in the right environment, they will continue to stay alive for a while. So, your cells can exist without you, but you can't exist without them. If we take all the cells away, there is no you anymore. is there a line where a pile of your cells stops being you? For example, if you donate an organ, billions of your cells will continue to live on inside someone else. Does this mean that a part of you became a part of another person? Or is this other body keeping a part of you alive? Or let us imagine an experiment. You and a random person from the street exchange cells. One at a time, your body gets one of their cells, their body gets one of your cells, at which point would they become you? Would they ever, or is this just a very slow and gross way to teleport you? Let's make this more complicated. The image of ourselves as a static thing is untenable. Almost all of your cells have to die during your lifetime. 250 million have died since the beginning of this video alone. Between 1 and 3 million per second. In a 7-year period, most of your cells are replaced at least once. Every time your cell setup changes, you are slightly different than before, so a part of you is dying constantly. If you are lucky enough to become old, you will have cycled through roughly 1 billion cells. So what you consider yourself is really just a snapshot. But sometimes cells are broken and don't want to die, questioning the very nature of the unity of our bodies. We call them cancer.
Complete.
They cancel the biological social contract and become basically immortal. Cancer is not an outside invader, it's a part of you that puts its own survival over yours. But you could also argue that a cancer cell becomes another entity inside us, another being that just wants to thrive and survive. Can we blame it for that? A chilling cell story is that of Henrietta Lacks, a young cancer patient who died in 1951. Usually, cells only survived for a few days in the lab, making research very hard. Henrietta's cancer cells were immortal. Over the decades, they were multiplied over and over again and used for countless research projects, saving countless lives. Henrietta's cells are still alive and overall have been grown to at least 20 tons of biomass. So there are living parts around the world from someone who has been considered dead for decades. How much of Henrietta is in these cells? What makes one of your cells you anyway? Maybe the information contained in it, your DNA. Until recently, it was believed that all the cells in your body had basically the same genetic code. But it turns out this is wrong. Your genome is mobile, changing over time through mutations and environmental influences. This is especially the case in your brain. According to recent discoveries, a single neuron in an adult brain has more than 1,000 mutations in its genetic code that are not present in the cells surrounding it. But how much you is your DNA really? About 8% of the human genome is made up of viruses that once infected our ancestors and merged with us. Mitochondria, power plants of the cell, once were bacteria that merged with the ancestors of your cells. They still have their own DNA. An average cell has hundreds of them, hundreds of little things that are not really human, but they still kind of are. It is confusing. Let's backtrack a bit. We know that you're made up of trillions of little things, made from more little things that are constantly changing. Together, all those little things are not static, but dynamic. Their composition and condition is changing constantly. So we might just be a self-sustaining pattern without clear borders that gained self-awareness at some point and now has the ability to think about itself through time and space, but really only exists in this exact very moment. Where did this pattern start? With your conception? When the first human arose? When life first began conquering our small planet? Or when the elements that make up your body were forged in a star? Our human brains evolved to deal with absolutes. The fuzzy borders that make up reality are hard to grasp. Maybe ideas like beginning and end, life and death, you and me, are really not absolutes, but ideas belonging to a fluent pattern, a pattern that is lost in this strange and beautiful universe.
The problem of who we are isn't just a question of our cells, but it's also a question of our minds. Just as our cells can be divided and separated from us, so can our very brains be divided and separated from us, while still in the skull. Click here to go to my channel and watch the next part.
Okay, so now go watch CGP Gray's video. If you're not yet subscribed to his channel, you should really change that now.
Tonight, I'll be eating a falafel wrap with sweet potato fries. Thanks.
Splitsies?
Oh, you meant the food, didn't you?
At this very second, you are on a narrow ledge between life and death. You probably don't feel it, but there's an incredible amount of activity going on inside you. And this activity can never stop. Picture yourself as a slinky falling down an escalator moving upwards. The falling part represents the self-replicating processes of your cells. The escalator represents the laws of physics driving you forwards. To be alive is to be in motion, but never arriving anywhere. If you reach the top of the escalator, there's no more falling possible, and you are dead forever. Somewhat unsettlingly, the universe wants you to reach the top. How do you avoid that, and why are you alive? All life is based on the cell. A cell is a piece of the dead universe that separated itself from the rest so it could do its own thing for a while. When this separation breaks down, it dies and joins the rest of the dead universe again. Unfortunately, the universe would like for life to be done doing its own thing. For some reason, it's not a fan of exciting things, but tries to be as boring as possible. We call this principle entropy, and it's a fundamental rule of our universe. It's pretty complicated and counterintuitive, so we'll explain it in detail in another video. For now, all you need to know is living things are inherently exciting. A cell is filled up with millions of proteins and millions more simpler molecules like water. Thousands of complex self-replicating processes are happening up to hundreds of thousands of times every second. To stay alive and exciting, it has to constantly work to keep itself from achieving entropy and becoming boring and dead. The cell has to maintain the separation from the rest of the universe. It's doing this, for example, by keeping the concentration of certain molecules different on the inside and the outside by actively pumping out excess molecules. To do stuff like this, a cell needs energy. Energy is the ability of things in the universe to do work, to move or manipulate a thing, to create change. This ability cannot be created or destroyed. The set amount of energy in the universe will never change. We don't know why, it just is that way.
Upgrade.
So, billions of years ago, one of the most crucial challenges for the first living beings was to get usable energy. We don't know a lot about the first cells, except that they got their energy from simple chemical reactions. And they found the ultimate energy transfer system, the energetic building block of life, the molecule adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Its structure makes it uniquely good at accepting and releasing energy. When a cell needs energy, for example to pump out molecules or to repair a broken micromachine, it can break down ATP and use the chemical energy to do work and create change. This is why living beings are able to do stuff. We don't know when or how exactly the first ATP molecule was made on Earth, but every living thing we know uses ATP or something very similar to keep its internal machinery running. It's crucial for almost every process plants, fungi, bacteria and animals need to survive. Without ATP, no life on Earth, possibly anywhere. While breaking down chemicals for energy is nice and all, early life did miss out on the greatest available source of energy, the sun. The sun merges atoms and radiates photons away that carry energy into the solar system. But this energy is raw and indigestible. It needs to be refined. After hundreds of millions of years of evolution, finally, a cell figured out how to eat the sun. It absorbed radiation and converted much of it into neat little chemical packages that it could use to stay alive. We call this process photosynthesis. You take photons that are wobbly with electromagnetic energy and use a part of this energy to merge and combine different molecules together. The electromagnetic energy is converted into chemical energy stored in the ATP molecule. This process became even better as some cells learned to create better chemical packages, glucose or sugar, easy to break down, high in energy, and pretty tasty. This is so convenient that some cells decided that instead of doing all that pesky photosynthesis work themselves, they would just swallow other cells that did and take their glucose and ATP. This is widely considered one of the biggest anime betrayals in evolutionary history. And so things went on. Photosynthesizing cells could mostly harness energy at their surfaces, which limited their maximum energy production, which limited their evolutionary avenues somewhat. So time passed. Some cells made sugar, others ate them. Evolution did its thing, but overall things stayed pretty much the same for hundreds of millions of years. Until one day, a cell ate another and did not kill it. Instead, they became one cell. Nothing had changed that day, but Earth would be different forever. This cell became the ancestor of all animals on this planet. Blue whales, amoeba, dinosaurs, jellyfish, pink fairy armadillos, and Sunda colugos. And of course, you. All can trace back their existence to this moment. The merging of two living beings is so important because when those two cells became one, they became way more powerful. The formerly independent cell in the inside could stop trying to survive. It could concentrate on one thing, make ATP. It became the powerhouse of the cell, the first mitochondria. The host cell's job became to ensure survival in the dangerous world and provide the mitochondria with food. Mitochondria basically reverse photosynthesis in a similarly complex process. They take sugar molecules that we got from eating other living things, combust them with oxygen and precursor molecules to make new, energy-rich ATP molecules. This process works like a tiny furnace and spits out waste products like CO2, water, and a little bit of kinetic energy that you experience as body heat. This first division of labor meant the new cell had way more energy available than any cell before, which meant more possibilities for evolution to enable more complex cells. At some point, these cells began to form small groups or communities, which led to multicellular life and finally to you. Today, you are a pile of trillions of cells, each filled with dozens, if not hundreds of little machines that provide you with usable energy to stay alive. If this process is interrupted, even for a few minutes, you die. But if life is so fragile, wouldn't it be a good idea to store ATP